Got another percent problem here. This one is pretty straightforward. Just as long as we make sure we convert our percent to the decimal correctly before we type it all into the calculator and get our answer, we should be pretty good. Ralph has borrowed $600 for 2 years. Let's get our little pen here so we can make sure we underline everything. Need 600 for 2 years at an annual rate of 5% and use the formula I, that's interest, equals principal times rate times time. And the principal is the amount of money you start with, and the rate is the interest rate in annual, which is 5% in this case, and the T is time in years, so this is 2 years, and everything is annual here. So we are good. We don't have to make any conversions between 6 months and an annual rate. If you did, you have to make sure you accounted for the 6 months in an annual terms as a half or 0.5 of a year. Something like that may come up, but this one is pretty straightforward here. So one thing we have to do is we have to convert before we can move on. We have to convert this 5%. We have to convert that into a decimal. Now the decimal would be right there, and it would be 5.0%. So we need to move it 2 places to the left to convert percent to decimal. So 0.05 would be our decimal equivalent when we go to multiply all of these things together. So we'll jump over here to the calculator. We'll do 600 times 0.05, and that is our percent rate we are paying, the interest rate we're paying as a decimal. And we'll multiply that by our 2 years. So he is going to pay $60 in interest over the 2-year period. So really about the only thing to talk about here where you may make a mistake is if you do not correctly convert your decimal or your percent to a decimal, if you just move it over in one place, or if you don't even convert it at all. We would get some sort of crazy answer here. Wouldn't even be a choice. And the other thing to be mindful of on other questions that you might see regarding this formula is that where we have years not equal to an annual amount, it may say 2 years and 6 months, which that would be 2.5 years, or your rate is always going to be annual. In this case, 5%. And run through our formula what the variables mean in the formula. I is interest, P is principal, R is the rate, the rate you have to pay, or the rate you earn. You could do this either way. And T is time. And like I said, the rate you may earn, you can do a problem the same way we just did this one. If you want to know, instead of borrowing the money, you are going to invest the money, and you would use the same formula for simple interest. So in this case, we were paying, so we were borrowing money, so we're paying $60 in interest.